Welcome to Just Asia, AHRC TV's weekly human rights program. These are the headlines. Pakistan Airlines employees killed in protests against privatization. Dramatic rise in media censorship in Pakistan, says Freedom Network report. Indonesian villagers fighting empty claim to their land by Air Force since 2007. Dalit University student commits suicide due to discrimination. Nepal blockade continues, 6 months of suffering and humanitarian crisis. Welcome to AHRC TV's Just Asia. I am Julia Reblando. 3 employees of Pakistan International Airlines have been killed in clashes near the Jinnah International Airport, Karachi on February 3. The employees were on a countrywide protest against the privatization of the national airlines. Senior flight engineer Mr. Salim Akbar and the leader of the Joint Action Committee of the airline employees, Mr. Inayat Raza, are among those killed. Protesters have said the paramilitary force, Pakistan Rangers, fired live bullets following a confrontation as Rangers personnel tried to block the protesters from nearing the airport. Although the victims died of bullet wounds, the Pakistan Rangers and the police deny opening fire at the site. Around 30 persons were injured when the paramilitary resorted to baton charges and fired water cannons and rubber bullets. This includes 2 women and 5 journalists. Several protesters were also taken into custody. The chairman of PIA has resigned in protest against the brutality of the law enforcement officers. The violence occurred as hundreds of airline employees held the latest of a months-long series of protests against plans to privatize the PIA. As the strike announced by the JAC entered the 8th day, Prime Minister Nawaz Sharif called for the implementation of the Essential Services Maintenance Act, under which all union activities are suspended and employees told to report on duty. This sparked the anger of the PIA employees who came out to the protest. All of Pakistan's political parties and civil society are against the privatization, which is seen as something the government is doing at the behest of the International Monetary Fund. Next, staying in Pakistan, Just Asia turns to a latest Freedom Network annual State of the Media report, which says the year 2015 proved to be the year of censorship for media in Pakistan. Freedom Network is an independent Pakistani media and civil liberties watchdog. According to its latest report, while 2014 was the most murderous year for press freedom in Pakistan, with 14 journalists killed, 2015 saw a dramatic rise in censorship. In fact, both journalists and media houses faced a silent but potent crackdown on dissent and freedom of expression not seen before under civilian rule. One worrying manifestation of this crackdown on freedom of expression was the notorious return of the press advice practice regulatory authorities for both print and electronic media. The Pakistan Electronic Media Regulatory Authority and the Press Council of Pakistan routinely advised the press to avoid criticism of Saudi Arabia for its war with Yemen or the Hajj stampede. The Asian Human Rights Commission adds that media houses continue to be monitored by Pakistan's military establishment and intelligence agencies. Journalists and editors report they are forced to project the success of various military operations without mentioning casualties, as provided by human rights organizations. The program now turns to Indonesia, where residents of Sukamulya village, Rumpin Sub-District, Bogor Regency, have been fighting for their land and houses since 2007. a total of 1,070 hectares of land in Sukamulya belonging to the villagers has been claimed by the Indonesian Air Force since 2007. The Air Force claims that they have a more legitimate right to occupy the land than the villagers. Is based on nothing, however. They have no official documents showing the land belongs to them. In contrast, the villagers possess official documents issued by the Sukamulya Administrative of Villages. Moreover, the villagers have been occupying the land since before Indonesian independence. The villagers have done a lot of advocacy, such as lobbying the government, parliament, National Land Agency, and the Air Force itself, but with no results. Hundreds of public protests have been conducted, the latest on 29th of January 2016, where the Asian Human Rights Commission also participated in front of the Bogor Regency Office.
This is Sukamulya village of Rumpin Subdistrict, Bogor Regency of West Java Province. This land and houses, 1,000 hectare area, has been claimed by the Indonesian Air Force since 2007. Insofar, the residents of Sukamulya village has been fighting against the Indonesian Air Force to reclaim their land, their houses.
From India, just now reports on the suicide of young Dalit scholar Mr. Rohit Vemula. Rohit chose to end his life after facing discrimination from the management of Hyderabad University. The harassment included the university failing to pay his research grant. Rohit's suicide is yet another example of the continuing Brahminical domination that suppresses the less privileged communities in India, particularly the Dalits. Together with the continuance of caste discrimination, incidents like that of Rohit's suicide, the murder of Dr. Maleshipa Kalburgi in August 2015, and the withdrawal from circulation of Mr. Perumal's Murugan's books, showcase the failure of India's criminal justice institution. Caste-based discrimination is a form of violence like any other form of discrimination, and the negation of concepts of equality and dignity. According to AHRC, any change in this practice requires the radical reformation of India's criminal justice institutions. Unfortunately, the country's Dalit and intellectual movements have yet to appreciate the pivotal role justice institutions play in this social reform. Until a focused effort is made to reform justice institution, the AHRC is the opinion of that the caste-based discrimination will continue. For the past 6 months, life in Nepal has been at standstill. The Himalayan nation has undergone a protracted blockade and faces an impending humanitarian crisis. Markets are closed and vehicular movements is stopped. Schools and hospitals barely function in Nepal's Terai region. Due to the ongoing border blockade initiated by the Madhesi groups and supported by the Indian establishment. Madhesi leaders and major political parties in Kathmandu have been in endless meetings after the problems in relation to the promulgation of Nepal's constitution surfaced. Neither the meetings nor protests have brought any chance, however. All they have brought is more suffering to the Nepali people, mostly people from the southern belt. Just Asia interviews Dipendra Jha, advocate of the Supreme Court of Nepal and active member of the Madhesi think tank group, asking him to shed light on the protracted blockade.
Look, the recent amendment that was done by the government has not been able to address the issue in a substantive way. Because principally they have amended, it is good and positive step, but it has not taken population as a sole basis for constituency delimitations. That's the main agenda they have. Even the issue of upper house has not been amended in the recent amendment. So what the demand is that we should get constituency based on our population. If we take geography, if we mix geography, we have less geography but big population in Tarai. So population should be the sole basis or main basis of constituency delimitation. That's one of the major agendas. Second, what they have been arguing that interim constitution has ensured proportional inclusion of all the marginalized community in the state structures, but the new constitution failed to recognize that right in the fundamental chapter. Recently, it is included. The recent amendment has included the term proportional, but the way cluster has been kept, like economically weaker khas area, it means that they have ensured reservation for the Brahmin upper caste. So they take it as like not addressing their issue as a whole. They try to create artificial scarcity because some of the government institutions involved in black marketing, even some security forces are arrested for doing the black marketing. Some well corporation staffs are involved. So I see it is a state-sponsored black marketing showing crisis. Yeah, definitely the government has to investigate all the killings that took place in the last 5 months. For the protester also, they have to conduct the protest in a peaceful and non-violent means. They shouldn't carry weapons and gun or anything. And except that, there should be enough sensitivity among protesters not to do any kind of activity that could affect the livelihood of the poor and post-earthquake reconstruction.
That is all for this episode of Just Asia. For more on these and other issues, please visit www.humanrights.asia. Thank you for watching and see you next week.